It's Elite POV, coming live to your area on twitch.tv.
Let's fucking go!
We are your number one place for everything in the world of all elite wrestling. And just remember, when you're with us, you'll always be elite.
Yo, it's clear to see when you open up your feed that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. We bring the heat to your screen every week, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV. So understand every time that we speak that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. Our 3 letters is all you'll ever need, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Elite POV, where it's podcast time and the whole team is back together. Team. And you know what that means. I am one of your hosts, returning Phil Cataldo, but you can call me Philium, alongside FTR girl 26817, the draw herself, Jackie Rodriguez.
FTR's #1 fan, y'all, if you didn't know.
and if you watch our Being the Elite POV vlog, which drops this weekend, you will understand that reference in full. But what's up, everybody? We're here at our new time slot of Friday nights, and we're hyped. It's been 2 weeks. We've been gone, and we're back, and we're excited. So, full house.
Since you've been gone,
I'm in 10 for the 10th time.
Mustache rides for everyone. And that man you heard singing, also returning, wearing some beautiful glasses, I might say, with the Disney background. You got to love Disney it. Background. On brand, Mr. Anthony DiStefano. What is up?
I'm here. I'm back because we moved the show to Friday nights. I was ready to retire.
But Phil said, not on my watch.
But we're like, nope, we're going to move the show to Friday nights.
But Papa Philium said,
Papa Philium.
Papa Philium's coming back and said, you know what? We're bringing all the NXT people back. We're bringing Anthony DiStefano back.
He's going to stay black and gold.
I was waiting for you to do that.
I'm back. No. I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about some drama. And I hope you guys enjoy the vlog.
Oh, yeah.
The vlog is going to be fantastic.
So
and the man who did all this work, the man who is delivering the best vlog.
Me. Oh, you're talking about editing.
We've ever, the man who has delivered the best vlog possible. Oh, and Ant recorded most of the footage. So we owe him that. But the man who edited all that footage together, Mr. Kyle Masters, what is up?
I'm doing, well, better. Better than I have been.
I feel bad for Kyle. He had to sit through like 42 minutes of Anthony footage.
Oh, that's not why. I feel bad.
Yeah, but I know that probably got you sick.
My battle with Aunt Rona from this week has been horrible.
Should have masked.
Yeah, my voice is a lot better today.
Should have wore a hazmat suit.
I wish it was good yesterday, but which sucked because like I had to end our EFED stream literally like one match into it because my voice completely crapped out. And I was like literally choking.
In the concert.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is like we were all together in Chicago. So Kyle either A, got it at the Buffalo show, or B, got it on his plane on the ride home.
I'm going to blame Buffalo.
We lucked out
because fuck
didn't
Buffalo.
Get it. Yeah, fuck Buffalo.
I always feel sick to my stomach, but that's just part of being an adult.
Wow.
Having responsibilities.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, we were supposed to have a show last week. Ant couldn't produce, and I was literally bedridden. I couldn't even get out of bed, so we're kind of
okay. Let's not start rumors about my production system. Okay, I can produce. Okay,
that's not.
It's like I got two little ones.
I knew it was
two little Anthonys running around. Okay,
anyways,
Pop the boys.
Yeah,
pop these nuts in your mouth.
Jesus Christ, Anthony.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, Nate got COVID too, Jackie?
He did. Yep, earlier
Nate,
this week.
Oh, we're COVID brothers.
Oh, we're blood brothers.
Him and Frankie Bebop went down for the count.
Frankie Bebop,
and Frankie Bebop. This is a travesty. We should have canceled the show.
We should have fought code.
We did last week. We're not doing it 2 weeks in a row.
Well, to anybody, if this is your first time listening, we do the show now every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, live on twitch.tv/ElitePOV and youtube.com/ElitePOV. So in either one of those chats, guys, make sure you sub to the channel, you follow the channel, do whatever you got to do. Be in the chat. Kyle will be reading them because he can see both of them. I can only see the Twitch chat, but Kyle got the YouTube holding it down. Patreon.com/ElitePOV if you guys want to support us. And then ElitePOV.com or ElitePOVmerch.com.
Yeah, website coming soon. Our website's coming soon.
ElitePOVmerch.com. I'm thinking of purging a bunch of designs, and we're gonna start making some new ones. So
Tag Team Wrestling.
Yeah. Tag Team Wrestling. We're all big Tag Team Wrestling fans.
We're gonna get
All Out Weekend.
FTR
baby!
FTR girl.
We're gonna get FTR girl 543216.
We have some new stuff coming
Me September fucking 10:45 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Or cruel.
So if you guys want to support us, that's everywhere you guys can support us. And if you don't have it, it's fine. Just be in the chat, talk to us. Let's have a good time. So listen, we've been gone for a few weeks. And right after All Out, something crazy happened. The world talked about it. We haven't had a chance to talk about it. So I definitely wanted to start off the show with giving our opinion on the matter. So if you need a reminder to what we're talking about.
God, did we miss everything?
Yeah. After a great All Out, an incredible show, a bunch of great matches, some cool stuff happened on that show, MJF's return. The arena went ballistic. The Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory, which was an unbelievable match that everyone agrees the Acclaim should have won, but it was fine because they got their rematch coming up next week. But after it, we get the media scrum, the whole CM Punk Elite fight, and all this crazy stuff. So, Ant, you're the resident CM Punk guy.
Brink killed a guy.
And I know me and you have a lot of thoughts on this, but I wanted to start with you first because you are the CM Punk guy. You know, he's the guy that you've credited to bring you back to wrestling. And him and Moxley match was a dream match for you.
Yes.
So how do you feel about all this stuff that's going on with Punk and the Elite?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. When we were first listening to it, I thought it was 100% just a work to get, you know, CM Punk's next challenger to be Hangman Page. You know what I mean? Like, kind of fitting with the Hangman, going back to the Elite reunion thing they're teasing. And then we found out all the backstage info. And to me, it sucks because like CM Punk is the reason that I love wrestling again and all that. But it gets to a certain point where you have to look in the mirror and say, maybe he's the problem, right? Everywhere he goes, he seems to be the problem. AEW didn't have a lot of locker room issues. There was none of this nonsense going on where there was fights and chairs and people being bit and Larry being saved by Kenny Omega and all this stuff. And Punk comes in and it's like, he wants to be Roddy Piper. He wants to be Terry Funk. Like he's like, oh, you know, these young guys don't want to take my advice. It's like, well, dog, you just took 7 years off. And in those 7 years, Hangman Page learned from Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega is the best wrestler on the planet Earth. So maybe he just doesn't want to take your advice. Like, maybe your advice doesn't fit with him. And it sucks for me to say this, but I really think we all got what we wanted out of Punk. We got the return. We got the pop. We got some good matches. Wrestling has surpassed the need for CM Punk, in my opinion, and guys like CM Punk. Especially if I always think of it in terms of business. Does Punk draw? You can say yes, but you can also say, look at the numbers they have done without Punk in the prior weeks when people know, you know, Punk's gone. Business-wise, would I rather keep Hangman and Kenny and the Bucks, who are still all in their prime, over one guy? Absolutely. They are the VPs of the company, the EVPs. Do I think they should be EVPs? No, I think that's another issue that AEW has to correct within the next year. So I can't blame all of it on Punk because I don't think wrestlers should be EVPs.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have the clowns running the circus. You just can't do it. I just think that wrestling is now surpassed people like Punk. I sat there and when I thought it was a work, I was like, oh, this is great. I don't give a shit about Colt Cabana. Whatever. Their history there, if he wants to call Colt Cabana out, there's tons of legal documents, there's tons of stuff. That didn't bother me. It's when you start going after the EVPs and Hangman for going into business for himself, when Hangman said the same fucking thing MJF said. So I think it's jealousy at this point. I think Punk is insecure in his spot, and I think he went for the nicest guy in the world. I think it was low-hanging fruit that Punk took. And to me, I lost a lot of respect because not only did you fuck over all this talent, now Jon Moxley, who fought his ass to get back from rehab to wrestle and do this, had a nice 6-week vacation plan, and now he doesn't get that because of your actions.
And to me, and I agree 100%, right? My thing is, regardless who's right and who's wrong, because we weren't in that room, and if we're going by the story, the two different sides of the stories, like the Punk and Ace Steel side of the story and then the Elite side of the story are so vastly different that you're like, there's no way Punk's side of the story is right. Like the Young Bucks kick the door down. What did they super kick it? Like, give me a break, right? Did Kenny Omega do a running V trigger and knock the door down? Like, give me a break. But the whole thing is, for me, regardless of what's going on, it should have never been said in the media.
Exactly.
And you know, I was wrong. I jumped on it at first because the way that the live stream started, Tony Khan's like, oh, I should have stopped the question from happening. So you would assume that the guy from Wrestle Inc. would have been the one to ask a question. And he didn't, right? Because Denise Salcedo on her YouTube channel actually has the whole thing. So if you guys want to go check that out, if you haven't seen the whole clip by now, which I'm sure you have. But like, there's no question asked. Punk goes after this person, which even fine with the Cabana stuff, but why are you doing all this Hangman and the Elite stuff if you're not booking towards a storyline in front of the media. It's a bad look for the company. It makes the company look like a circus. It makes it look
I will say though, if you are not releasing any of this talent and you don't make fucking money off of this, you're a moron.
Oh, 100%.
If you can convince these guys to work together and you don't make money off of this, because now that dream match of the best in the world, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, is fucking the stakes have never been higher.
But
it's never been more personal.
Business aside, but I do agree with you. Business aside, though, I don't see how Punk stays here.
I hope he doesn't.
And even recently, I was talking to Carrie earlier. Shout out to Carrie, right?
Who was in the chat, by the way?
Yeah, who's in the chat in the Twitch chat? Wardlow just did a podcast, and he talked about how he wants AEW to go back to where the locker room felt like a family. We see, I've mentioned it on shows before. Ever since Cody left, a lot of people, when they do interviews, a lot of these wrestlers, they stop saying keywords. Oh, it feels like a family. It feels like all this stuff, right? And now we're hearing people like Wardlow, who's been with the company since almost the very beginning, pretty much the very beginning, say this family stuff. And it's like, did it all start when Punk was the one that changed
it? It was a mixture. It was Rhodes leaving and Punk coming in, dude. You lost your leadership.
But
it's that fucking
I know
simple.
People are like, I get that there's people online that are sided with Punk, even though I don't know how you could be on Punk's side, but fine, maybe you hate the Elite. I don't know why you're watching this company then, but you got to think the locker room has a lot of people who are there because they're friends with the Elite.
Go back and listen to Cody's promo, though.
You could be on Punk's side because, again, that's where I am kind of like EVP shouldn't run the company. If CM Punk has a fucking problem, I manage a business as my career. If I have a problem, I don't blast a person to everybody. You take them aside and you have a fucking grown-up conversation. This whole idea that CM Punk's sitting there up there talking like he's some fucking hard ass. I saw your UFC fights, dude. Come on. Stop talking tough.
Then if we're to I don't know, think that one of the fight was real. Punk's on the thing saying, my door is always open. You have a problem, come see me. And then they come see him. And then now it's a whole big thing when it's like, this is where it needs to be kept backstage. But Jackie, you're always the voice of reason on this show, right? You're always the one who's calm and who looks at things from an intelligent perspective and not a wild perspective like the three of us do. So what do you think about all this?
I think that those perspectives were calm and logical and, and whatnot. And I agree with a lot of what's already been said. It puts such a bad taste in my mouth, honestly, because if you look at the scope of things from a year ago, when we were talking about the feeling that everybody had after All Out 2021, everybody was riding such a high. It was CM Punk's return. Everybody was feeling great about him being in the company. It was regarded as like one of the best pay-per-views of all time. The morale was super high. And then flash forward to a year later, and it's like shit completely hit the fan, and he kind of came across as a completely different person. And it harkens back to some of the promos where he was cutting, and he said, you guys want to see the old CM Punk again, and don't worry, he'll reveal himself again soon. And I'm like, this is not how I expected to get the old CM Punk back, where we're seeing a taste of some of the bitterness and whatnot. There was absolutely zero reason for any of the topics to be brought up in that context whatsoever. If it's not moving a storyline, if it's not leading to something, you're just airing out dirty laundry, and it makes you look really tacky, for lack of a better word. The other thing that I think needs to be discussed is the fact that Tony Khan is his boss. It doesn't matter how big of a fan he is of CM Punk's work and his legacy. At any given point in that conversation,
he could have cut
it off. He could have put his foot down and said, we're not taking any more questions in regards to this. We are no longer discussing this. This is the end of this topic. We're moving along. Or this is the end of CM Punk's portion of this press conference. I think he needs to go to the back or whatever. He could have put his foot down, but instead he sat there and watched this man completely tear apart not only other talent, but the but the EVPs, people that you hire to be in,
listen, Punk, you don't get the fucking money you get without these guys. You don't get that huge contract. So eat your fucking bakery and shut the fuck up. Like, for real. Like, just first off, him eating while talking, you're sassy, and that's the most disrespectful thing you can do. So you're a dick.
Yeah, it came across just like very like it made him look awful. It's like, where is your authority in this point where it's just like, oh, he's one of your top guys. Who cares? You are still the top guy. You are the boss. And at any point you could have said, this is inappropriate. We're not moving forward with this. If Punk wants to get mad about it,
kept trying to turn it. You could see now that people just don't really like each other. Bro, that's called a fucking horrible work environment that you're creating and you're allowing.
It's toxic. It's completely toxic and inappropriate, and there's no place for it. You could feel the air in the room, which is very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And it's like, now you're going to have a bunch of other people. And then what does that say to your other employees where you're not really not necessarily sticking up for or defending them, but creating an environment where it says, this is not okay. Because at the end of the day, it's still a business. It's still a corporation, and you still have to be the boss. So overall, it was just one of those things where it was so bad.
This is and say what you're going to say.
This is where, like, we can, like, shit on people like Jericho, right? But everything you read about Jericho said he was, like, the fucking authority in this situation. Like, he kept things together backstage and, like, kind of took care of that. And it's like, that shouldn't be his job, right? Like, that shouldn't be a talent's job. It's just Tony Khan needs to ring it in and stop being such a mark. And I like Tony, but, like, that's like a markish thing to do. Is he's looking at CM Punk in admiration as CM Punk buries what you built from the ground up. Like, CM Punk's talking about the EVPs. Them EVPs are the one that took you as the fan and said, let's start this. You have the money. We have the ideas. Let's do this together. It's like me sitting up there and someone's bashing you three. Like, what? Like, he has no fucking backbone. No backbone. And then later he's like, I'm tired of this fucking shit. What did you do? You didn't do anything for 10 minutes. You sat there silent like a little bitch. Like, say something.
So G-Rod in the Twitch chat is saying, what's up, G-Rod? Miss you, brother. I think Punk would have went off on him if Tony tried, and it would have made it worse. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So here's my thing with that, G-Rod. Wow. I do agree. I think Punk, in the mood he was in, would have lost it. But like what Ant was saying, so I don't know, MJF, even before MJF cut that promo where he called Tony a fucking mark, right? One of the things that fans have always said about AEW and wrestlers who don't have a good relationship with people who are in AEW or podcasters, whatever, they always say, like, Tony is too much of a mark to run a company. Right? Like, he's too much of a fan and all this stuff. And we love the fact that he's a mark. We love the fact that he's a fan, just like any one of us. But this was a prime opportunity for him to not only show us, but more importantly, like Jackie and Ant said, show the locker room that I don't even care if you're CM Punk and I'm paying you X amount of dollars in this company and you just won the world championship in your hometown. You cannot talk like that in a press conference. Tony should have taken control because that would have went a long way. But Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on this. And do you think that there's anything Tony Khan could have did in that situation that didn't create this media storm that completely erased everything that happened at All Out?
Well, y'all nailed it on the head. Like, pretty much. I do have one other takeaway, but it's crazy. You guys mentioned, like, the whole locker room atmosphere has changed ever since Cody left. And it's funny. Like, we're attributing, like, is it the time that Cody left and Punk came in? It just makes you think about, you go back and listen to Cody Rhodes' last promo where he starts, kind of underlying talked about CM Punk coming in. It makes you think, it's like, holy shit. Like, that promo was not just like a promo to get the TNT title belt over, which he was doing at the end, but mentioning, like, he basically telling, like, things are going to change now that this guy's here. Like, it's really eerie to think, and when I go back and listen to that promo, it's crazy. And then the difference between Punk's first promo to him now, it's like night and day. It's like, it's not really why you were supposed to come back to wrestling, Punk. It's not to be a miserable fuck like that. You were a miserable fuck in WWE, and we knew the reasons why. There's no reason for you to be a miserable fuck here. So, anyways.
So there's reports where they're like, oh, the young guys this, the young guys that, like.
That's no reason to be that
other
guy.
veterans and they're like Dustin or Cole Cabana.
If they don't take his advice, then that's their fault. You don't got to be a bitter asshole about it. Right? If they don't want to take your advice, that's their fault. Let them learn on their own. You don't got to go into a press conference and make it about yourself, because ultimately, here's my point. What happened right before the press conference that no one was talking about because of CM Punk being an asshole? MJF, who is the biggest, biggest question mark in the entire company because he was radio silent for 5 months, came back into the company and returned at the end of All Out because everyone thought this guy was gone. He's just going to sit at home until his contract's terminated, negotiate something. He's going to the Fed. That's it for MJF. My man just came back in one of the most epic returns possible, but no one's talking about it because Punk made it about himself and went and did his shit backstage, and no one was talking about MJF. Nobody that whole week.
It's overshadowed. It's overshadowing. It's the fucking ego of Punk. And I will leave you with this, right? What Punk did was disrespectful, not only to the EVPs, but to Tony Khan. And here's the thing. Respect is a big thing. And I hate saying this because I don't like Vince McMahon, but if Vince McMahon could get Brock Lesnar to respect him, you can get fucking CM Punk to show you some respect. You have to put your foot down.
You have to lead.
It's not, he's not,
right? Like
he has no leadership. That's the problem. Like,
speaking of Brock Lesnar, when Vince quit, when Vince left, and Lesnar walked out on SmackDown, Triple H is the one who got him back because Triple H leads with respect. And I get it's different.
He's been in the business, right?
Yeah, they've been in the business. They have, they're bigger guys. We
all started somewhere.
Respected. Right? Exactly.
They all started somewhere.
So Tony, it's been 3 years, but Tony has to, at least for a little bit, kind of roll with an iron fist because look, like people were saying in the chat, right? I think it was Adam that was saying it. If you would have stopped Punk, maybe there was an altercation, but it would have been with one person, but then you would have still had your trios champions. And now we don't know how long everyone's going to be gone for. The Punk and the Elite aren't even in the intro anymore. And I think that's more of a bullshit
thing. The Punk MJF storyline could have continued because that's where they were going with that.
Well, lost in all this is CM Punk is made of glass because he's hurt again.
Yeah.
So your body is not capable of doing what we need you to do. We've put the title on you twice. Even if there was no fight, no scrum. Title on you twice. For a total of like 6 days because you can't stay healthy.
Yeesh, yeah.
So, for me, wrestling-wise, Punk can go. You haven't proved anything to me.
I can't see a world where he stays unless, everyone kind of, for some reason, everyone...
Without this, you're spending all this money on a guy who can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But listen, I think, in all honesty... He needs Tony, like Ant said, he needs to sit them down in a room and go, listen, there is so much money to be made off this feud. You need to suck it up and work together. If fucking Matt Hardy and Edge can work together when there's a real life fucking storyline, a real life shit going on with Lita cheating on Matt with Edge, and they made money off of it. There's plenty of examples of that in wrestling. They don't got to be best friends.
And they were, though. Punk and the Bucks were friends.
There's always... But you got to make money off this. And then to what Ant was saying, Punk, you're not healthy enough or durable enough to be our world champion. So you can stay in the company, but you're going to be used here and there. Right? And we're not going to put you in these big spots because we can't keep having intern champions and tournaments and all this stuff, throwing storylines in the air when that's not what we do in AEW. That's not what they do. So it's like, if it all comes down to it, and they stay, let's do Kenny versus Punk or whatever, non-title, and let's get that belt on MJF. Now, the last thing I want to say about this, unless you guys have more to add.
I just say poor MJF, man, because he's the one that's hurting a lot in this one, because that return was epic as fuck.
In regards to MJF, karma's a bitch, because he did this shit to Wardlow, and no one was talking about the fact that Wardlow won a Double or Nothing, and now it happens to him.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, he's biting the bullet now, and he's making the better of it because now they're turning it into a Moxley feud, which is great.
And to be honest with you, if none of this happens, Punk still would have been away for 8 months because he tore his pec in the match. Yeah. So unless he tore his pec in that fight, and they're just trying to make it seem like it was a match, can you imagine?
I know there was conflicting.
Well, he tore his bicep.
Oh, bicep. Sorry, not his pec.
No, I had the video of him diving. Actually,
Shout out to Kenny Omega for saving Larry.
Yeah.
My man saved. Who would have thought, Jackie? Right? Who would have thought you would save a dog and get bit by a human?
Yeah.
My thing is this dude. Literally, all right. Last thing, you sat there for 2 or 3 months after you were hurt, after you won the belt from Hangman, and that promo just bothered you that fucking much that you had to come make a scene. It really did. Like, you didn't. That just shows that there's no conscience up there, right? Because why are you continuing something that happened 60 fucking days ago?
Some people don't know how to let shit go, man. Some people just like they freaking.
It's embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing. Yeah.
It's a weird thing when Punk was in WWE, he complained about the veterans and the older guys doing essentially what he just did to them, especially Hangman, who I don't care what the fuck you think of Hangman. He's clearly the biggest babyface in the company. He is like the heart and soul of this company. People absolutely love him. He was a picked guy since even before AEW was a thing. So to attack him publicly when you don't have a storyline going on and when you're both baby faces and you just won the title in your hometown says more about you than it says about anything that Hangman
he already gave the receipt too. He already gave the receipt.
And we all know Hangman didn't do nothing.
But he already gave the receipt. He already called him out when he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
That should have been it.
Yeah.
Grow the fuck up.
I mean, you just won the world title in your hometown. Why do you come out in a press conference talking about Colt
Cabana
it doesn't
matter.
And the EVP stuff?
Ego.
That's what turned me off.
2 weeks before All Out, when he came through the curtain, he was like, "It's gonna be crazy at All Out, the press conference at All Out." So this could have been predetermined. Or...
You're gonna you won a fictional championship. We saw what you did in real fights. Calm the fuck down.
What? I don't understand, bro. I just hope we can get Kenny and the Bucks back. As much as I was a huge CM Punk fan, I'm still a fan of him as a wrestler, but as a person, Jesus Christ. But I want Kenny.
The last couple matches I've seen, he was so sloppy.
I'm gonna assume it's 60 days because they were taken right off the Full Gear poster as well.
Nah, I think you see him. I think they're back for Canada show. I think you see Kenny at Canada show.
Why would they take him off the Full Gear poster? They could have just kept advertising with it.
Because they're not trios champions, so they might not have a feud at Full Gear. But I think you see Kenny back for Canada.
I don't think you see them until after Full Gear.
Yeah, I think they're.
That's a long suspension. Suspension's a little long if it goes that long. Okay, people get. That's because
it's the legal stuff. That's probably why.
Oh no,
Punk's the one that's doing the legal shit.
That's what I mean. That's probably why they have to be kept out, though. It's not just because it's Punk stuff. It's all involved in that it's been said that Punk's bringing in legal stuff. So that's probably why they're gone.
But my thing is
insanity.
What a bitch made
wise. Why the fuck were people who broke up the fight suspended? Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler, Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, those were quickly switched over. What they brought back a few of them.
What was the other dude?
They let go. They took off Cutler's Cutler suspension, Pat Buck suspension.
Pat Buck, that's the other guy.
Yeah.
And Nakazawa suspension.
And then the last thing I'm going to say about this, the worst thing that CM Punk took away from us was fucking BTE.
Yeah.
All right? No BTE because
Cutler's now not suspended, so I imagine he's going to try to do some sort of BTE that's without the Bucks and without Kenny, so it'll be just
it's going to suck.
Else.
Most of it is Bucks footage.
It's probably going to be the Dark Order mostly, to be honest, now.
Which I'm okay with because we still had this great story. There were some great stories that were being set up after or during All Out, which it was a great pay-per-view. I don't know, man. I had so much fun watching it. I went in terrified thinking there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't going to like, and I loved the whole thing.
Oh, we thought you were going to freaking be complaining the whole day.
I thought you were going to wear a Cody Rhodes shirt.
The WWE one.
Yeah, right.
With the WWE on the shoulder.
Yeah, with the fucking thing right here and shit. Yeah, nah. I still hate Cody. Just because I know Cody was right for leaving doesn't mean that I'm happy.
This is going to sound so like Markish, but what they need in AEW is kind of I hate saying it, locker room leader, but I'm still a big Reigns guy, and I listen to Reigns on the Impulsive podcast, and I'm like, that dude just possesses leadership.
Well, Jericho's a locker room leader.
Yeah, but he is. But at the same time, you think Punk don't care? Like Jericho told a story with Cody where Punk gave this whole WWE I'm a locker room leader, and Booker T threw his trash on the ground. I was like, "Fuck you." So there's difference. Here's the difference: is Roman will fuck somebody up, but they need
and
that
all
locker room
47
leader.
of his members, family members, are in the company, so you get punched a billion different ways.
They need a locker room leader.
So what AEW has to do, and saying is start hiring Samoans.
Yes,
just get Samoans.
Jacob Fatu is a free agent. Go get him.
Yeah, he'll kill somebody back there.
He's the fucking man.
Jeez.
But so yeah, that's what we think about all this stuff. But let's talk about some good things, some great things that happened on this week's past Dynamite, and that is, of course, 2 huge qualifying matches to go to Grand Slam next week to crown a new AEW champion. And yes, an AEW champion, not an interim champion, because like we said, Punk's going to be out for probably a year. So let's get the belt on somebody new, or maybe Moxley again, which we would all love. So we saw Moxley versus Sammy. And
no,
Danielson
I don't want it either. But
versus Jericho. So let's start with Moxley and Sammy. They opened the show. We didn't see Ty come out with Sammy. A more serious side of Sammy. A more competitive side being shown right off the bat.
Yeah, you definitely saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Because Phil was there, front row.
Yeah, I was front row. I was front row. So if you guys saw me, thank you for everybody who was sending me screenshots. I just watched a YouTube video earlier because I saw on the little thumbnail, you could see my face in the back of the women's match, and you can actually see me when I'm looking at my phone sending Kyle the pictures of Jamie Hayter.
Oh, now we have a new draw here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah. No, Jackie's still a draw.
No, we already knew I ain't been the draw in a while.
Nah,
so
he's still a draw. But yeah, so I want to start with you, Kyle. What did you think of Sammy versus Moxley to open the show?
It's a good start. I knew they were going to start with I had a feeling they were going to do one championship match or one tournament match in the beginning, one at the end. Just made sense. And, you got to start off the show hot, and they start off. I mean, Sammy and Moxley have that history. I mean, they're advertising it all week. They're pushing it out on Twitter from their first Dynamite match back in 2019, which I remember that match. That match was fire. That was a really good fucking match. I remember talking about it the day after, going, damn, Sammy and Moxley, these two have a sick chemistry in the ring. And then they kind of showed that again with obviously the added elements of JAS at the end with Ty and Anna coming out. I thought about it. I'm like, hey, how are they going to do this? Are they going to give us kind of an obvious finals, or are we going to get swerved? Even you were mentioning, what? I bet you it's going to be Sammy. Sammy's going to do it. Sammy's going to get to the finals, and it's just going to piss off the entire wrestling Twitter.
Listen, I was a man of chaos. I wanted Sammy to win the whole fucking thing. Just to go nuts. Just for people to lose it.
But the fact that what they did with MJF last week and Moxley, I'm like, hey, Moxley has to be going to the finals for sure. So he ends up winning. We'll get into later what I kind of think of where this is going. But as for an opening contest, great way to start the show and start the show hot with Moxley. And they cut it close at the end there. I thought they really were going to pull the trigger on Sammy and fuck over Moxley. I'm like, man, that would have been, I was waiting for that to happen and instantly going to Twitter and hitting refresh to see just watch the wrestling Twitter world burn, because that would have just sent everybody in a frenzy.
Because we can all see the writing on the wall, right? Whoever wins this tournament is just going to lose to MJF anyway. So it's just at what point does it really even matter?
You're figuring out who can hold the title the shortest and lose it to MJF eventually.
Yeah, it'd be Sammy. Especially, obviously, we've seen MJF go full heel again, especially on this show. He cuts a great promo, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, Jericho said in an interview, or in the press conference, MJF is technically a babyface. People are loving what he's doing, and he's so talented he's getting people to boo him. But hey, maybe you pull the trigger on him being a babyface and put it on Sammy. But obviously, they don't go that way. So shout out to Frankie Bebop in the Twitch chat saying that ass cheek though, because Sammy's ass was all out.
Man,
right, single cheeked up on a Wednesday night Dynamite over here. It's hilarious. The section I was in, there was a bunch of people screaming it. It was so funny. But Jackie, what'd you think of this opening match?
It was really good. It was like back to that, that formula that we know and love from AEW Dynamite, where they start off hot with that banger match. We all know that I'm not the biggest Sammy Guevara fan, but I'm not going to take anything away from what he produces in the ring. And he showed out in that match. And I love the fact that you have the two very contrasting styles, even with the way that they come to the ring. You have Sammy, he's like super arrogant and always stays true to that character. Moxley is just a machine the whole freaking entire way. And it carried and transitioned all the way through the match. But Moxley, I can't say this enough. I know I drill this point home every single time we talk about his matches. He is the most adaptable person. Like every time that he goes out there, no matter what opponent he's facing. And Sammy is a very like aerial guy. He's always the risk taker. He's always doing some crazy shit. He's always like flying and like looks like he's gonna break his body in half. And Moxley is not typically that guy, but he took it to that level. And it's just an incredible way to see how he's able to like go toe to toe with no matter who the opponent was. So the match was very solid. I think that, to me, it was completely obvious that Moxley was going to take this match. But when we get into this later on, I'm going to have to say, as far as we know who the finals are now, but I don't think, personally, I don't want Moxley to go all the way in this one. And I'll get into why a little bit later. But as far as the match itself, the match was an incredible way to start Dynamite.
I feel like I'm the only one who thought that there was like a chance because of the interference at the end and knowing that like Moxley had vacation lined up and now hearing that it was like 6 weeks of vacation that he was supposed to be gone. So maybe you would think that Moxley's just going to put over the younger guy who's eventually going to lose whatever.
To me, I had my heart dead set on it being BCC versus BCC in the finals. So that to me, it was like, no, it has to be this or bust. So I was like, no, it's got to be Moxley versus Danielson in the finals. And we all know how that played out.
But any final thoughts on Moxley versus Sammy?
It was a great match. I think Sammy's hated, but he's underrated. I think Sammy can hang with the best of them. Match was great. As far as Moxley goes, you kind of knew he wasn't going to lose, and the simple reason is he just lost. You're not going to have him lose 2 in a row or 2 of the last 3. The guy's been pinned once clean, maybe 3 times total in AEW. They're just not going to give him a loss. So I could see Danielson beating him by putting him to sleep because Moxley won't zap out. But I mean, I liked the call. I'm more into what Sammy's tweeting right now, though. Sammy's talking a lot about, I don't know, pictures of him and Cody, and I don't know if his contract's up or what's going on, but
didn't he tweet something like, "Oh, it was a good run" or something like that, or like?
So it could be a him changing up his character a little bit. Maybe he's taking time off, or it could be him leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want him to leave. Obviously, because of the whole tie connection and stuff like that. But I think Sammy is a big part of AEW too, right? Even MJF.
He's one of the pillars, man.
They're one of the pillars. I don't want to lose any of the pillars. And listen, people hate Sammy for stupid fucking reasons, right?
Because he has a beautiful wife.
Yeah, whatever.
Pretty
right?
much it. Pretty much because
like
his relationship didn't work out. Well, sorry, wrestling fans. Get in a relationship and then you'll know how they work.
Exactly. And put deodorant on too.
Working or shooting.
Yeah. Well, working to shoot. So me and Jackie did it at the same time. But yeah, Sammy's an incredible wrestler, and we forget that show, Double or Nothing in 2021, the first show after COVID that they did with fans, full fans. Sammy was the one who got the winning pin and got the standing ovation afterwards. So he's an incredible wrestler. He's had some incredible moments here. I really don't want to see him leave, because I think he could be a big star here for them once all this stupid shit goes down. I feel like it's gone down already, because even like Ann said, where we're at FanFest, well, we said on our podcast that we did about FanFest, Ty and Sammy, huge line.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're super popular at these autograph signings that they do, whether it's an indie show or an AEW signing, and it's just people on Twitter hate them.
They can't let the stupid wrestling fans get to them. And I hate that'd be a reason for why that he left that are leaving this company. Because, like, he's been giving nothing but opportunity in this company. It's not like he has been being booked bad. So I really hope that this is just him just, you know, playing character on Twitter and not, because the people hate me here, I'm leaving this company. They're gonna hate you wherever you go, man. Like a company's not gonna change that. I don't think he's that stupid. So
yeah, wrestling Twitter is still wrestling Twitter. It doesn't matter what company you wrestle in. But as far as this tournament, so the main event of the night was Danielson versus Jericho, and an incredible match. I had Aunt Carrie texting me because it looked like Jericho tore his pec. Because of you can see the blood under his skin forming from all those.
I thought that was from the chops. Yeah, I didn't think I didn't think I was a torn pec.
Listen, I don't know. His titties always look sad as fuck anyway. So,
but the match was incredible, and I want to start with you, Danielson Jericho. What'd you think?
I mean, again, like we sit here every week and we go, "Why Chris Jericho?" Complain about Chris Jericho. I honestly believe in the ring, this is one of Jericho's best years of his career. Like, he is putting on bangers. And against Danielson was a banger. Like, Danielson could wrestle me and make it look good, right? Danielson
twice now. He did it at the pay-per-view, and it was a banger, too.
Because listen, Jericho got in better shape, which you got to give props to him. The dude's in phenomenal shape for his age. All the years on the road, and he'll fight through, he'll fight through. Danielson's the best wrestler in the world. And that's why, in my opinion, it's time to put the belt on Danielson. One, because you know how popular he can get. So if you're doing this whole MJF as the heel, right, because you're going to do it with Punk, Danielson's the guy you put the belt on for him to take it off of. Because everyone would feel robbed, pissed off, and then people would hate MJF again, right? Because we only get 6 weeks of Danielson or whatever.
Yeah.
Moxley doesn't need a 3-time champion. I love Mox. But it's like, it almost feels like, I made the wrong decision. He should have kept the belt.
Yeah.
So Danielson versus Jericho was great. I'm happy Danielson won. I'm still interested to see where the Garcia storyline goes because it's still lingering. Could it come to a head at Grand Slam? There's a lot of things up in the air about what can happen, but Danielson versus Jericho was better than I expected, especially at that time. I get tired and I just want to go to bed. But I really enjoyed that match. Jericho, again, working through whatever was going on with his chest. It hurt. I guarantee that. So props to them. I mean, it sucks because the cards are all mixed and matched now because of what happened. And we're getting Danielson versus Jericho again, even though we just got it at the pay-per-view. It's like we haven't had it in 13 years, but here's twice in 3 weeks. But I think the one this week was better than the pay-per-view.
Oh, I agree. And I think we were more emotionally invested because of the stakes behind it. And listen, working or shooting, right? I didn't sing Judas on Wednesday. I need a break from Chris Jericho just because I feel like when you're in a faction with Jericho, you don't get to wrestle unless you're Sammy, right? Are Ty and Anna ever going to wrestle again? Who knows, right? 2.0 has a match coming up with Hook and Action Bronson, which is really cool. But before that, it was like, are these guys going to ever wrestle again? And we saw what happened with the Inner Circle. But it's like, the dude's a great wrestler, right? I'll never take nothing away from Jericho as far as a performer. The match was incredible. The crowd was super behind it. That Albany crowd was very pro Jericho too. I don't know if it came across on TV, but sitting in that arena, they were cheering for Jericho way more than they were cheering for
Y2J.
And I'm like, it did, yeah.
That's interesting.
So like and I like Jericho on commentary when like it's just kind of on Rampage over there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, if I'm watching it, whatever. But it's like, I need a break from him. But you understand why they have to do this because of all the suspensions and whatever. And they're trying to make this tournament as prestigious as possible when it's happening so quickly.
Well, it's a tournament of champions.
Yeah. But Kyle, what'd you think of everything?
I like when Ant said that it was better. It was better than the pay-per-view. It was a lot more exciting. They went right down to the wire with this one. Really made you think that maybe it could have been Jericho. Literally, this was, I think, more of a toss-up at the end than the Sammy and Moxley match, to be honest, as who could move on.
I thought it was gonna be Jericho.
Yeah, it really came down to it, but excellent match. It's tough to see though Bryan to go feud with Moxley after them really pushing MJF the last 2 weeks. Him coming out
and what's really bothering me about this. Can we talk about that?
Did they kind of show, like, did Tony Khan show his cards?
Yeah, did you show
by pushing MJF out there again and just kind of making it obvious that it's going to be Moxley? Or I've seen a lot of people even say it on Twitter that even if Bryan wins the title, Mox and MJF really necessarily doesn't need the title just yet, and they're going to hold off on him cashing in that chip later down the line. Like, it could be a Mox versus MJF blood feud at the pay-per-view rather than Mox cashing this chip right away, because he can cash that chip in whenever he wants. And what if at Full Gear, I'm going to take a piece out of our EFED hand, maybe.
Yes.
But it's just, I don't think it's tough to see if Tony Khan really showed us his cards or not with this promo, because he pushed MJF out there for 2 weeks in a row. And it was all about him calling out John Moxley and ripping into John Moxley. So next week's match, to me, can really go either way. They can either, maybe he did show his cards and they're going to do that. They're going to do Mox versus MJF, the pay-per-view. He's cashing in his chip. Maybe he wins the world title then. Then Mox goes on maybe he gives him an extra 6 weeks vacation. He goes for 12 weeks. And,
go away for 3 months when all of our talent is suspended.
But, or maybe they'll have, them still have the feud, and then Bryan has something else. Maybe something else comes up and they do Bryan Danielson versus, I don't know, maybe Garcia again goes back heel and they do him and Garcia. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. It could be anybody else, but it really makes you think that did Tony Khan show his cards or not?
That's what's bothering me about this all, is that I really feel like you're spoiling it for us. And maybe it's a fun way of messing with wrestling fans and being like, haha, I got you. But I think Jackie agrees, and she said it too. I don't think, and I love John Moxley. This is not a knock on Mox. Like, here's the truth. You shouldn't have took the fucking title off of him. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But are we ready to have a 3-time champion yet?
They're already calling him a 3-time champion. I don't know if you caught that on commentary.
Yeah, they're counting everyone's like previous world champion.
Yeah, because Jericho's like a 7-time champion.
Yeah, so like technically Moxley is already one if you count his WWE world title win.
Yeah,
he's won the
really.
AEW
I thought they listed him as a 3-time AEW world.
No, 3-time world champion. Everyone is listed as a world champion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Jackie, you mentioned earlier you had thoughts on this. So how would you book it? What do you think is going to happen in regards to Danielson and Moxley, and then the Danielson-Jericho match as well?
As far as like the Danielson and Mox match, okay. So as much as I love Mox, I don't want Mox to win if the end game is to have the winner of this match potentially drop the belt to MJF at Full Gear. And that's because I don't want Mox to always feel like the backup champion. Like, because even though we're not using the term interim here and we're going with the full AEW World Champion, 6 weeks is going to feel a hell of a lot like an interim championship run again. And for Mox, especially if we go back to the week that we missed with the show, that promo that Mox cut, to get to rally the troops again. If that doesn't show you that Mox is your freaking guy, the guy that should be at the forefront, the guy that really gives a shit about this company and has all his passion in the right place, is not about himself and getting himself over, who cares about what he's doing. That promo was selling me on that thought. So to have the thought about him going in, winning the championship, to drop it another 6 weeks later, that doesn't sit well with me. So if that's the end game, give it to Danielson, because yes, Danielson, ultra babyface, he's the ultimate underdog, and then it's the perfect way to get MJF that maximum heel heat to come in and swoop the belt off of somebody who's as beloved as Danielson. So that's my thought process behind not wanting Mox. I mean, if it was like Mox, push him to the moon and let him hold it forever, then fine. Great. Have him win at Grand Slam. But otherwise, if the end game is to have him drop it to MJF, don't do that to him again. He deserves better. But as far as the Jericho and Danielson match, it's very rare at this point to get me to have those matches where I'm like on the edge of my seat and I'm like, oh shit, like down to the final minute, like how is this going to go? Because it really was one of those matches that could have gone either way. So it was the anticipation where I'm literally like gasping, like every hold, Jericho getting those submissions on, Danielson with that, that ankle injury that he sold so beautifully. It was such a great work by Jericho too. And like, again, like Ann said, we love to like bust his chops and everything, but the guy's a freaking legend and he plays his role well. But I thought the match was phenomenal, so much better than the All Out match.
Yeah.
And I was like so much more like invested in it, and it was a great freaking main event, probably one of the better main events in recent memory, where I'm like, I really, really, really give a shit about the outcome of this match, and I think it couldn't have been better. And the face-off between BCC versus BCC at the very end,
I like that there was the respect, the handshake, what I mean? Like, but what does this mean for BCC? Like, do they keep going? Is it?
But that's how they were formed.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like Danielson's kind of been away from BCC.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you guys haven't gotten to watch.
He still comes out with Regal though. Like he does his own thing, right? Like they all come out with Regal at least. They've never really come out together.
So any worries that people have? A little preview for Rampage. Claudio and Yuta come out, and Claudio talks about this main event and talks about what it means for BCC and where they're going to be moving forward as a group. And it'll all be explained to you because he cuts a great promo, which leads to, I'm not going to say what it was, but it sets up what Claudio is going to be doing Grand Slam week as well. But my final thoughts on this Moxley Danielson stuff is we can all agree right now, I think Danielson's the best wrestler in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Jon Moxley is the most important wrestler in the world. Where
I can agree.
I can't imagine AEW without him.
He's our number one guy.
He's
their top guy.
Literally the heart and soul of that company, because not only that incredible speech and the passion and everything behind him, but just like Jackie said, he adapts to any style. You could put him in the ring with anybody. Hardcore match with Kenny, technical match with Kenny. We saw the match with Sammy, the matches with Jericho, the match with Punk, the match with Danielson, the match with who else did he fight on there? Like everybody. Brody, right? His match with Brody Lee, how great that match was. Like you could put him in the ring with anybody and he's gonna adapt to their style and have a great match. And that's what makes him so important to this company. But now the next thing I want to talk about, and we're gonna give somebody on the show a shout out from what they accomplished when they were at a show live last week, Kyle. So Kyle goes sitting ringside. He holds up a sign that says women's matches.
First hour women's matches.
First hour women's matches. And last week we got it, but this week we didn't. So Kyle, we should have let me take that sign and maybe we would have got something done. But we saw Toni Storm and Athena versus Serena Deeb and Britt Baker, which leads to this weird fatal four-way at Grand Slam. But the cool thing that I want to talk, it was a really good match. The crowd's super into it. All four women are pros. You could definitely tell that like this is the top of the top when it comes to women's wrestling in AEW. The way that they play to the crowd, the way they play to the camera, just how good the match was. Mm-hmm. But Kyle, I want to start with you. What was interesting to me, we saw Jamie Hayter come out at the end and tease like she was going to hit Britt. Still hits Toni Storm, but looks at Britt Baker as she's backing out of the ring. So what do you think all of this could mean for the future?
Well, one, the match was great, and I know it was in the typical AEW women's time slot. I thought the crowd, from what came off on TV, was really into it, and they were hot for the.
It took them a while.
Yeah. But other than that, they've planted the seed there. I think exactly how Britt screwed Jamie at the pay-per-view is exactly how Jamie is going to screw Britt next week at Grand Slam when she comes out. And it's going to lead to Toni Storm obviously retaining the belt next week. It's really weird, put together fatal four-way, I guess, just because there's nothing really booked storyline-wise. And, they could have done Britt and Jamie next week, but, Britt doesn't have the belt. So I guess is what we're getting, and they're going to continue that storyline. And Britt and Jamie most likely are going to have a blood feud at the pay-per-view. It's most likely what's going to lead to. It's going to be interesting to see how they drag it, because that's you're looking at about 6 weeks of build up until Full Gear after Grand Slam. So you're going to have to really stretch that. 6 to 8 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see if it's not going to be on that, or if it'll be on like the Thanksgiving episode, which is touted as a big episode, right? They try to make that a big week. But other than that, I think that's ultimately where they're going. But then you got to have something for Toni Storm after next week. Like you really,
that was going to be my point.
You really need to do something now with her as the champ. If that means that Thunder Rosa, Thunder Rosa tweeted out a picture that she's getting some sort of rehab done. I don't know how far. I don't know how far that is away from coming. If they're just gonna
I forgot she was the champ.
If they're just kind of if they'll just kind of have Toni Storm do a couple of things in between weeks, like quick 1 week feuds up until Thunder Rosa's ready to come back, and then they start that program for Full Gear. But you got to do something, because that.
Why do it? We all know Thunder Rosa's going to lose.
But my thing is, like, in regards to what happened after the match, Serena pinned Toni Storm.
Yeah.
So why doesn't Serena get the match at Grand Slam?
Yeah,
which makes a lot more sense than someone like Athena, who just lost to Jade at the pay-per-view, and then technically lost this tag match, and is in like the aftermath of this brawl at the end, and then she gets a title match. Why would she be fighting Toni Storm? They were just partners, and she's 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. Like, and this was clearly like, oh, we have nothing going on for the women, and wait till you guys see how random Jade's opponent's gonna be, which they announced on Rampage. But it's like,
wait, at Grand Slam?
Yeah, I texted you. That's a Grand Slam, yeah. So, but like how random that is, it seems like, oh shit, we got to book the women. Let's just put the most popular women in a match. Here are the 4 most popular women, not Jamie Hayter, because they're doing her stuff with Britt. Let's put them in a match, and whatever, that'll pop a rating. And it's like, no, it should have been Toni versus Serena.
Is it Emi Sakura? Please tell me, is it Emi Sakura versus Jade?
No, I told you who it was. I could say it right now if people in the chat don't care. By the time people hear this on podcasts, if you guys want to know.
Dropping them spoilers.
Right? But Jackie, what do you think of everything?
Yeah, it's a little frustrating, and this is a constant theme, and I feel so bad because I don't want to be like such a sour person about this, but it's like I want to preface this by saying, yes, I'm all about the building feud between Britt and Jamie, because that's something that we've all kind of been pining for, and I'm glad that they continue to build this, and I'm very glad that they're going in the direction of building these long-term storylines in the women's division. However, there are storylines that exist outside of the title slot. And I'm like, well, what are you doing with your women's champion? And yes, she is an interim champion, technically. And the thought process is when Thunder Rosa gets back, she is going to go challenge for the title. Win or lose, she has to re-challenge for the title. And they're going to have that match. But don't waste the interim reign of Toni Storm. Toni Storm is one of your top stars. We know how talented she is. We know what she's capable of doing and the matches she's capable of producing. Why not put her on a killer run in the time that she has the interim title and just do something with it? Like, even if she's just banging out these matches, like where she's having these, like, I don't know, do something.
Question: What brand? What company are we talking about?
I know, Anthony.
What company are we talking about?
It's just like, I guess I'm just sitting here like hoping and praying that one day they're going to, have the light bulb go off in their head. It's going to be like, oh, we should just invest some kind of effort into this. And it just like, I just feel like.
But in regards to what Jackie's saying, it's not even a women's thing. You have, in that match we saw last night, you have Serena Deeb aside, right? Because she's an incredible wrestler, but not necessarily the most popular one. But the other 3 and Jamie Hayter, you have 4 of the most popular women's wrestlers right now on television. Jamie Hayter gets a huge pop when she comes out. People love Toni Storm. They've loved Athena since she was Ember Moon and she had that match against Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn, right? And obviously we know they love Britt Baker. What Jackie is saying is AEW was always said to be the alternative WWE's biggest problem was on the main roster, they only booked the women in feuds when the title was revolved around it.
Mm-hmm.
Britt doesn't need a title. She's more popular than the title is, right? Even to what Ant's saying, this company doesn't book the women strong, especially the women's champion strong. Look at Jade. How is Jade not on every poster, on every Dynamite? How is Jade not one of the biggest stars in your company, period?
Jade should be 68-0 right now because every week you should just have her fucking crush people.
But so Britt is just as popular as Jade. So have Britt and Jamie be their own thing, and then have Toni Storm versus Serena in a dope-ass feud that gives you great wrestling matches. There you go. Yeah. Or have Toni versus some of the Joshi girls because Toni Storm wrestled the Joshi girls when she did her run in Japan. So we know those matches are going to be good. Hey, maybe it was supposed to be Shida and something's going on with Shida. That's why they took her out of the match, right? So who knows? But you have talented women in the company who are veterans like Athena, like Serena, that you could do this with instead of giving us a random fatal 4-way, which will be cool. But in the bigger scheme of things will mean absolutely nothing because we're just looking at our watches waiting for Thunder Rosa to come back, which I know Ant hates her, but I love Thunder Rosa. Jackie loves Thunder Rosa. And I know her, but Thunder Rosa's going to end up losing the belt anyway.
Word. I don't hate her.
Ant strongly dislikes her.
I don't even dislike her. I think she's a great person.
Now,
I think she's a little overrated. As a wrestler, I'm allowed to have my opinion.
You are.
Listen, I'm not forcing my opinion on anyone. I know it's an unpopular opinion. That's fucking fine with me, right? I don't need any.
How dare you have an opinion?
Yeah,
I don't care if
you are not allowed to have an opinion,
right? Because I'm fucking surrounded by people who couldn't even fucking run a Target, let alone a wrestling company.
Okay,
Punk. Jeez.
Yo, if they don't come back with the first BTE skit of them working in a Target as managers,
that'd be great. 100% great.
No, but like I don't hate her. Like that's just such a big like misconception. Is just I think she's super overrated. So if that's overrated and there's you hate her, I just don't think she's as great as people thought. I think they waited a little bit too long to put the belt on her, and then they didn't give her anything. I think it's 50% Thunder and 50% Tony, maybe 70% Tony because he doesn't know how to book females at all. But I just think that you went with her and it just didn't work out, and it's okay. Stuff doesn't work out sometimes.
You need to, like me and Ant have had this conversation so many times. You need to shuffle that division, and if you're not getting rid of the TBS title and just unifying both women's belts and making women's tag, because we get a ton of women tag matches all of a sudden now. You know, on Dark and Elevation as well as TV. But in my opinion, Jade is your star. The money match in your women's division is Jade versus Britt Baker. That is your money match. That is the biggest women's match as a company AEW could put on. And Jade is just wasting away on that TBS title that she only ever shows up on fucking Rampage that no one fucking watches. Let's be honest, right? And it's like, Jade should be your women's champion. And then you could do fun stuff with the TBS title if you're not getting rid of it, right? Julia Hart is one of the most popular wrestlers in the company. She's super dominant on Dark and Elevation.
You have Julia Hart, Ty Conte, Ruby Soho, Penelope Ford, The Bunny. Like, you have good women's wrestlers. Kiera Hogan. What do you do with her?
The amount of like, don't act like you don't have the arsenal. You just don't pull the trigger.
I'm just hoping that a lot of them could be. Well, hold up. I'm hoping a lot of them are good promos as well. Great wrestler is one thing. You're also in there.
But
the bunny
Kyle,
is
in fairness,
does
it even matter because
it does, because if they have a bad promo, we'll be sitting here complaining about their bad promo.
No. But wait, hold on. Wait, does it matter when Jade's not on TV anyway? So who cares? I could be the TBS champion. I'm not going to get on TV either.
No, I'm talking about like the other one, the list we just listed though. Like, if,
no, I know, but I'm saying you could put them on
Thunder Rosa, and she's not a good promo. That's part of the reason.
She's the best promo, but
she's
like
I
need to highlight Jade more, and you need to use the TBS title as like the TNT title to build the next generation. You're not building anybody because the women's division on Dynamite is booked like shit. And Jade is barely on TV.
Jade should be the world champion right now.
Jade should be the world AEW world champion, not the women's champion.
Not the women's one, the world champion.
The fucking company, and she signed my titty.
She just go out there.
Will see in the vlog.
Hold that, Mox. Cut the shit, Mox. This is my match.
Cut the shit, Mox. MJF goes to use the chip and she clotheslines him, picks it up. I'm that bitch. Say I'm that bitch, Max. He's like, I'm that bitch.
And this is that chip, and I'm cashing it in.
This is that chip. I'm fucking cashing it in. Which, have we gotten clarification if that chip is like the Money in the Bank, or is it just like I'm having a title match at the pay-per-view? Yeah.
It's for a match.
But can he cash it in whenever?
He didn't, like, he treaded the line. He's like, anytime I want. I'm like, what does that mean, though?
Yeah. What if he cashes in a Grand Slam? And we get it like a 2-second champion?
Oh, God, that'd be bad.
That was my nickname in high school.
That's
Ant's back, baby.
That's treading the Fed line. I don't know if they want to do that.
Luckily, people probably tuned out by now once I started shitting on Thunder Rosa.
But what if they do that at Full Gear? What if, Moxley and MJF are in one feud off doing something, and Bryan's has a title match at Full Gear, and then MJF cashes in the same night after his match with Mox?
That'd be cool. That's a different way to look at it.
I don't think it's a cash-in.
It's
let's
weird.
Just get it to MJF.
But it's a chip. You cash in the chip, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense than a briefcase, right?
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense. But so yeah, that's anything else on Dynamite that we want to talk about? I mean, we kind of mentioned the MJF's promo.
Yeah, we sort of talked. Really nothing else that much was not that it was more exciting.
Stuff with the Acclaimed and Swerve.
Yeah.
Swerve and Our Glory, they have their match coming up. So we can transition over to we don't have to do a full preview because we do have a hard out soon. I want to give our thoughts going into Grand Slam this week. Are we excited? Are we looking forward to the show?
It's built like a pay-per-view.
It is built hugely, especially with all the matches that you guys are going to hear that are announced on Rampage tonight. So, Jackie,
it's like 5 or 6 title matches.
Me and you will be sitting together. So I want to start with you.
Hey.
Are you excited coming up, or Grand Slam coming up next week?
I am excited. In a strange way, I don't know if I feel as excited as I did last year going into Grand Slam. It's a very different vibe, especially with a lot of different variables looming in the air with all this drama that's been going on, backstage and stuff like that. But I think they've done a pretty good job trying to rebound and get us excited about the card. I'm not 100% full tilt there yet, but they really have done their best to try to stack the card and make it feel pretty big. You were getting that 2-hour Rampage too, so we're gonna be there all night long. It's gonna be insane.
Sing for me.
My nickname in high school.
Getting home at like 2 a.m.
Mamacita.
Yeah. But no, but it's good. That they're gonna turn it up and it's gonna be great. So I am excited, and it's always great to be there live.
Now, Ant, are you excited?
No. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, he's excited to see Orange Cassidy win that belt, baby.
Listen, I'm good with it. Again, it's everything's misconstrued that I said. I said I didn't want Orange Cassidy as my world champion, as the Mid-Atlantic Spirit Airlines All-American Delta champion of the world.
Yes.
And Japan.
He deserves it. And he's been putting on great matches, and it's time to have him be a champion in that sense. Pac has a championship now. Get that title off him. Give it to OC. You got Danielson versus Mox, which is another main event that's like, these guys have both developed so much since their time when they last met in the ring, right? Like, it's like, I know like they had a match at AEW, but I mean, as the company leaving WWE, they're two different performers, right? And I think now you get the main event for a world championship. Watch how crazy this shit goes. Like, this is going to go hard.
I got a question for y'all. Do you think the Acclaim actually wins next week?
And here's the thing.
Yes.
Because I think that crowd is going to fucking go ballistic if
I
they
don't
think they're going to win. I think it's this is the time to make
in the bottle.
Swerve and a Glory. This is the time to make them fucking ultimate heels.
That's going to be
especially beat them.
Heat.
And then guess who beats them at Full Gear with their FTR. They're number one because they've been number one contenders for like the last 8 months. And it's finally they're going to come out.
11-21.
It wasn't not one of them that tweeted a couple of days ago, Jackie, it's time to refocus or something like that. And they put the picture of the AEW tag team belt. There you go.
Did.
I think Swerve in Our Glory is going to win again next week.
It's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
AEW doesn't miss with special shows. And there's a certain somebody who's still on the sideline that nobody's talking about, baby.
Oh, yeah, Adam Cole. Where the hell is he?
So
right here. He's right here.
Oh,
Hey.
Baby!
Elite POV, baby.
Baby!
I don't know, Adam. They booed the fuck out of Lee this week when he came out. They booed the shit out of Keith Lee even when he came out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think they're both.
They
just mega
did,
heels.
but then they started doing the bask in his glory chant
That's
when he
never
was
gonna
out
stop,
there.
though.
So
Yeah, people boo MJF and then do all his catchphrases that he had.
Yeah, they cheered the shit out of him when he came out, and then MJF ripped them apart, and everyone's like, "Fuck, boo, fuck you."
Yeah, but fuck you. But the one thing, speaking of the All Atlantic Championship that we didn't talk about, so we got the debut of the Firm. Stokely Hathaway's group gets a name, and he kind of tells what every single member of the group is going for.
One of my nicknames in high school.
Yeah. So he
it's nice and firm.
He talks about what Ethan Page wants to win the All Atlantic title. Ethan Page is having a match against Danhausen on Rampage tonight. And Ethan Page cut this promo about he wants wrestling to be taken serious again, all these joke characters. So you could maybe see Orange Cassidy winning the belt and Ethan Page going in a feud against him, since Orange Cassidy is a more comedy side character. So I think that would be pretty cool. And it's awesome. We love Ethan Page here. So it'd be great to see Ethan Page being used more on television, which I'm very excited.
I'm cool with the Firm. The Firm's cool with me, brother.
Yeah. HH.
I saw, I don't know if it was true. I don't know if it got taken down. I saw it really quickly and I paid little attention to it. I saw a quick article and I believe it was on Body Slam. It said that
Stokely's getting heat.
Got heat for putting himself more over than the people in the ring.
He put everybody over.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. Shut up.
I was like, oh, it's interesting way to look at it.
okay.
But
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a long promo, which was weird, but I think he did.
I hope, because they gave him that much time and they put a lot of effort into that they actually do something with this and it's not just a faction that fades away into the background.
I do like that they said they go their own way, but when they need to, they come together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To
and
me,
the
that's
only
cool.
one who didn't get like a clear direction was Cass, was Morrissey. He was, you do whatever you want. Ethan Page, the All Atlantic. Lee Moriarty was the Pure Championship. The Ass Boys were the tag titles in some company. I don't know if it was necessarily AEW or not, but it was there. And then who else is in that group? That's it, right?
Lee Moriarty. Okay, so if they didn't mention the TNT belt, what if Morrissey's going to target Wardlow?
They would have a fun match. I mean, also we didn't talk. It's starting to come back to me now. The stuff with Hobbs and Ricky Starks is still going, but I think your money match, Hobbs and Wardlow.
Yeah,
that's what I said to Hobbs when I met him too. I'm like, yo, you need to fight Wardlow for that fucking TNT title. He's like, yeah, man, I hope that's what's happening. I'm like, fuck yeah, that'd be dope.
He was so cool.
I would say Hobbs is such a coal guy.
I'm big Hobbs fan.
Who was I online to meet that I didn't meet Hobbs in time?
Oh. Butcher and the Blade? Is it Butcher and the Blade? No,
Butcher and the Blade, yeah.
Because we took a lot of pictures together, so I'm just trying to think who we didn't meet together.
Hobbs. I didn't get to him in time because I met Butcher and the Blade with Kerry.
Speaking of, hi Kerry in the chat.
Yeah, shout out Kerry in the chat. Always shout out to Kerry in the chat. So yeah. I think Grand Slam's going to be great, especially with the matches that they're adding on Rampage tonight. It's going to be a lot of wrestling. 4 hours of wrestling for people like me and Jackie, who are 5 hours if you count what's beforehand too.
It's basically a pay-per-view. It's basically a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's 4 hours. Yeah,
it's going to be a good time. And there's some fun matches that are announced on Rampage tonight, especially what Claudio is doing. That's very interesting. And
I can't believe Johnny Gargano's coming.
Yeah. Johnny Gargano confirmed.
It's happening next week. It's gonna happen.
But it's gonna be a great show, and we definitely look forward to it. If you guys are going to Grand Slam, it's a $20 meet and greet if you want to meet Jackie. $10 a picture, $10 an autograph. Actually, $15, right? If you want to meet Jackie, I will be taking the money. It will be going to
wear a fanny pack.
FTR girl. I am gonna wear that same fanny pack. That's over there somewhere. Right, I will be taking the cash only. I'm sorry, I don't have the square thing. So cash only if you want to take a picture with Jackie.
Support our Patreon and we'll get to be able to afford that.
Yeah, so support our Patreon so you can get all of us to Full Gear in Newark, which the tickets go on sale. I think as Moxley and Danielson walk out for the main event, tickets go on sale. No,
freak.
Yeah, I do plan on driving down for Full Gear.
I told these three, but for everyone listening in the chat live right now, so. Obviously, we know between Dynamite and Rampage, Tony Khan comes out. So in the Albany show this week, he was like, this building is very important to me. This is where I saw one of my very first wrestling shows in Albany, New York.
One of my first wrestling shows was in here in Albany, New York.
I don't know how this dude has so much energy.
He's very socially awkward.
Yeah, we know how he has so much energy, but... with that being said, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Elite POV, where remember from now on, until we change it eventually down the line probably, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/ElitePOV and youtube.com/ElitePOV. We are live every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you jump in our chat so you can talk with us while we talk to you guys. And so also, before I forget, so we raised money in a couple months ago during Pride Month and before Pride Month for Jackie's brother's Nate for his surgery that he has coming up. He's still a little bit away from his goal. He has the second surgery coming up in December. So not only are we going to be raising money again for him, but we are planning a live stream to do with you guys where we're going to be raising money for Nate's surgery. That is TBD whenever we figure out how we're going to do that, what we're going to do.
It's going to be a mix of everything
with you guys. Yeah, it's just going to be a good time. We got to figure out how long it is, everything, but we're definitely going to be doing a big stream for Nate, so look forward to that. And before we get to that, patreon.com/ElitePOV if you guys want to support us over there. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for everybody who got us to All Out and who funded everything that we did with the vlog, got all 4 members there. We had a great time. We appreciate you guys for that. ElitePOVmerch.com.
Purge. It's going to be purged soon.
It's going to be purged soon, and we're going to make new designs. So make sure you get your designs before they are gone forever. If you want to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at ElitePOV. If you want to follow me, it's at Phillium Versus everywhere. Jackie, let them know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at LoveYouMake24, and you can follow me on Instagram at JacksTheDrawPOV.
Now, Ant, you have your Disney show with your wife. Plug that and plug everything that's going on in your world.
Yeah, if you like Disney, follow Magic and the Mouse. It's my wife's passion project. I just happen to help her with. It's really fun. If you like hearing about Disney, come check it out. You'll see a totally different side of me because I keep it way more PG.
Yeah.
And mellow. Here I'm not. So just come check it out. AWF, Alliance Wrestling Fed. Come check us out every Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday now. It's fucking dope. It's the best booking you'll see in any wrestling promotion. I can guarantee it.
And stop hating on them. It's storylines, all right? Get a grip. Kyle, let everybody know where they can follow you and what you have got going on in AWF as well.
You guys can follow me right there at the bottom of the screen if you're watching. If not, you're listening on Twitter at All Elite Kyle. I don't really Instagram. You can follow me there if you really want to, but I'm not going to do anything on there, so might as well don't do that. I'm really not an Instagram person, so it's just there for the time being. Anyways, yeah, like Ant said, it's literally the most fun we have all week. Me and Ant booking an eFed. It's so much fun. You get your character in there, however you want to create your character. Anyone from our community here is invited to come and join that. There's a Discord. You can cut promos. There's storylines. It's amazing. Come by and watch every Monday and Tuesday live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Alliance Wrestling Fed. Honestly, you will not be, you'll guarantee to have a good time there. That's all I'm going to say. But
you will not be disappointed.
Not be disappointed. There you go.
It's the word he was looking for.
Yeah. And hopefully my freaking voice comes back next week. God, because I had to cancel.
Oh, Lane's here.
Lane's here. Shout out to Lane in the chat. Lane's here.
Hi, Lane.
And look out for the vlog.
Welcome, Lane. You fucked up again. Thank you.
The vlog this weekend. It will be released. Guys, make sure check us out. Make sure you're watching the Twitter and you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because that's where it's going to be.
Hit the notification bell so you do not miss it, because when I tell you this vlog is incredible, we got some great footage. Shout out to everybody on the show besides me, because I didn't really get any footage.
Oh, we got some.
Everybody on. No, I'm not talking about footage of me.
Oh,
I'm talking about I didn't personally record the footage.
I got your feet, boy.
Carrie, Kyle, we got some incredible footage. We got footage of me meeting Ty and Sammy with Kyle and Ant. Ant getting his titty signed by Jade, Jackie with FTR.
Yeah,
so Carrie with Hangman.
Sucked. Oh wait, that's on OnlyFans.
Yeah. So we got some great footage for you guys. All fan fest stuff for us in the spooky Airbnb.
Fan fuck.
Yeah. So make sure you check that out. Notification bell. You don't want to miss it. You want to be able to watch it as soon as it comes out. Kyle put in a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun. And there's a special surprise that we recorded right before we went to air tonight that will be playing at the very end. So you have to. It's a long video. You have to make it to the very end. We have a nice surprise for you. As well, the intro is top notch. Shout out to Kyle for that. But make sure you guys watch it. But thank you for listening to another episode of Elite POV. And remember, no matter what fucking CM Punk's bitch ass says, you don't need a hat to be a cowboy. Hangman forever, baby.